Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chanel Rose Connor. I'm a professional copywriter and dating consultant on Fiverr. I'm here with the wonderful Lance Claysmile Smith today, and he is a serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, public speaker, dance fitness instructor, financial advisor, and coach. So I'm super excited to speak with you today, Lance. Nice to meet you.
Yes, likewise. I'm grateful for this experience, you
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
yeah. So today we're just going to be discussing your fascinating life journey, like both personally and professionally. We'll discuss like everything you've learned about business, passive income, financial freedom, real estate, staying motivated, overcoming rejection, faith, how you overcame social anxiety, and we can do a little bit about your dating journey too. So thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited because I think that, anyone who's gone through the struggles that you have gone through is really going to resonate with your story today. So I'm super excited and yeah, let's just get into it. Awesome. Let's first start off by talking about like your different businesses. So Lance, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
Wow. Okay. I love the lifestyle of it,
Yeah,
you
me
know?
too.
And also it's like, my vision is that I will take every passion of mine
Yeah,
and make it into a business, you know?
love that.
Because
Yep.
that way, that way I never work really, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
all play because I'm doing what I love. I'm doing
Hmm.
work that I love.
Yeah. And do you have a specific business or like a specific accomplishment you're most proud of?
Yes. A few family members and I have launched an online school called HGP Academy. And
Oh,
it's a
nice.
community, yeah, it's a community that prepares young adults to excel in the areas of finances, relationships, career, and health. We meet every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. and we just talk and share insights and inspiration about finances, relationships, careers, and health. And I'm really grateful, to be able to build something like this because, I really believe that what we're building with this academy is something that's going to outlive us and it's going to truly be an amazing, generational wealth building activity for the family and for our family as well as other families as well.
Awesome, awesome. I love that so much. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. So I guess for people who want to follow in your footsteps, what advice would you give to other aspiring entrepreneurs?
Mm. Well, I think that it's important, to maintain maintain good control over your finances. I think that's one of the biggest things about being a business owner, because you don't have the structure of an employer that's kind of like setting things for you. You have to really be proactive in being organized,
Mhm.
and pushing your business forward because as an entrepreneur you are fully responsible, right?
Yeah,
So it's not like having a job where
right.
you're kind of told
It's
what to
all on you.
do. It's
Yeah.
like it's all on you. You have
Mhm.
to really set the course. And so yeah, so one of the biggest things about it is maintaining good control over your finances. I even
Mhm.
have like this framework of financial priorities, which it's very similar to Dave Ramsey's baby steps as well as the Money Guy's financial order of operations. And basically, it's just steps, priorities. Number one is always give away a portion of your income to help those in need. In the Christian community, we call it tithing. To tithe 10%.
Yeah.
Of our earnings. I think it's so important because it's like when you give, you confirm to yourself that you have more than enough. And I think that giving is something that's very important. But also, number two would be save up at least $1,000 as a mini emergency fund.
Yeah.
It's so important to start that. Number three would be to pay off all of your high interest debt. So I'd say all debt that
That's
is
smart.
probably
Yeah.
above 8%. Um, Number four would be if your employer, so this is people that are kind of, that still have a 9 to 5 and also are kind of working as an entrepreneur. If you do have a 9 to 5, and if your employer offers an employer sponsored retirement plan in which they will match your contribution up to a certain percentage, then take advantage of that, but only up to the match limit, right? Number five would be save up to expand your mini emergency fund to be a full emergency fund, right?
Ah, yeah, there you go. I like
6
that.
months of living.
Very, very smart.
Number six, save up for special purchases.
Mhm.
Number seven,
Yeah,
open up a Roth IRA or set up an auto invest feature in which you automatically invest into a Roth IRA every month, right? And
yeah.
so the Roth IRA is one of the tools of retirement. And so, and then number eight would be open up a regular, index fund, stock index fund, and set up an auto invest feature in which you're automatically investing, right? Number nine would be invest to build income, both active and passive income through entrepreneurship, right?
Mhm.
Like I said before, every passion is a potential business, right? Every hobby is a potential stream of revenue. So I highly encourage entrepreneurship and multiple businesses, right? And number 10, I would say, is invest to build passive income through private money lending in real estate. And so maybe we touch upon that a little bit later because that's a whole nother episode, right? But anyway,
Yeah.
but the biggest things that I encourage is, entrepreneurship, but also, stock market investing through like index funds. And then number three is real estate. I think those three tools are very, very powerful.
Awesome. And, where would you say is the best source of information, or, like, is there any specific guides you recommend people study, to learn more about those? What's the best
Oh,
way to
okay.
learn?
So
Yeah.
my school is all
Yeah, there you go.
providing education regarding
Perfect.
those things. So deep into the finances as well
Yeah.
as to the relationships and like career management as well as health as well. So
Yeah, like on your YouTube channel, Claysmile?
yes, Clay.
Yeah, awesome. You've accomplished so much. You've got so much going for you. What else do you wanna do? Like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years?
Well,
Yeah,
the older I get, the more passionate I become about the concept of legacy, right? The concept of
love that.
building things that will outlive me. And so
Mhm,
one of my goals is to continue to build the online school, HGP Academy, that I've launched with my nephew Kyrie and two of my nieces, Brittany and Jordana. I believe that the HGP Academy has the potential to create a significant positive difference in the world because the whole structure of the school is designed to give young people wise guidance regarding these four major topics: finances, relationships, careers, and health. And I envision that within 10 years, the HGP Academy will grow to become a brand that reaches around the world.
nice. That's exciting. That's really cool. So yeah, like building on that a little bit, shifting gears slightly. So you also have mentioned and told me that you're a motivational speaker, but you also struggle with social anxiety. So how have you accomplished all this? Like it's amazing. Struggling with that particular disorders.
I've noticed that I feel totally comfortable and confident and powerful when I'm doing motivational presentations or performing
Good.
dance parties, but I often struggle when I'm taking when like I often struggle when I'm talking to people one on one or in a small group or on the phone. And it's ironic how I feel totally comfortable when I'm doing public speaking and at the dance parties, but yet I often feel a lot of anxiety when I'm trying
Hmm.
to have a simple conversation. I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that when I'm doing public speaking and dance events, I've rehearsed it ahead of time. So I
Yeah,
memorize
preparation
the
is key.
script and
Yeah.
it's a performance and I'm just reciting lines that have
Yeah.
pre-planned. It's totally different than when I'm socializing because when I'm socializing, there's no script and there's no
Right.
advanced
Uh,
preparation, right?
very on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah. So also when I'm socializing, I often get confused regarding social cues. For example, when I'm in a social setting, it's difficult for me to discern when it is appropriate, to end the conversation and transition to another person. I don't, want to end it too soon and appear disrespectful, but yet I don't want to drag it on too long and annoy them. Also, my mind often goes blank when I try to create small talk with people. So it would be difficult for me to go out on a date because I feel a lot of social anxiety when trying to interact with people unless there's a defined agenda in which we're working on a project. I feel the most comfortable when I'm alone or when I'm doing performances. A friend of mine thinks that I have a mild case of Asperger's syndrome, which is high functioning form of autism. But I don't know. I don't know. I looked up the symptoms for Asperger's, and I noticed that there are some symptoms that seem to match what I struggle with, such as difficulty reading social cues and feeling
Mhm.
social anxiety. But I'm not sure if I really have that. And I feel like this situation, whatever this situation is a blessing and a curse, right? Because
Yeah.
I feel like in one aspect it seems to have hindered me from building relationships. And business is about relationships, right? So in one aspect it seems
Exactly.
to have hindered me from building relationships, but in another way it seems to have enabled me to become very focused on building businesses.
I love that. Yeah, and that's why I think it's so important to talk about it and share our stories. Because despite having social anxiety, look at everything you were able to accomplish. You're a serial entrepreneur, like, that's amazing, and, like you said, it's all about building connections, so even if you struggle with that disorder, like, anything's still possible, and, you said right now, Lance, you're single, you wonder if you'll ever get married in the meantime. Do you ever get lonely, and if so, how do you cope with that loneliness?
Wow. Okay, that's a very
Yeah, it's a deep
complex
question.
question. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
very deep question
Yes.
because in a way I like being alone because
Mhm.
often when I'm with people I feel social anxiety. However,
Mhm.
I feel very sexually attracted to beautiful women,
Mhm.
and so it feels frustrating because physically I want to secure, a beautiful wife
Of
and
course, yeah.
sexual intimacy, but mentally I want to be alone. So now, of course, ideally, it would be awesome to find a woman who I feel very comfortable with. But
Yeah.
so far, I tend to feel at least some level of social anxiety with everyone I meet, and therefore, mentally, I tend to desire to be alone.
Ah, I gotcha. Yeah, and yeah, like I said, I really think it's so key to just be comfortable being who you are and being your own best friend,
Mm,
and sometimes you just gotta say like, hey, if I meet the right person, that's great, and we gel. That's awesome. But if not, that's okay. You have time. It takes time to meet a quality partner. And I have a whole dating profile reconstruction business for single people that need help. So it can definitely, I think, especially like since so many people use online dating nowadays and like we're so busy with work and everything, I feel like it can be hard to find the right person. Like
mm,
what are your thoughts on that? Do you use dating apps yourself?
mm. Well, I've used several dating apps over the years, like Christian
Yeah.
Mingle and eHarmony and the Facebook dating app, but
Yeah.
none of them seem to have worked out for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. I definitely think like they're a handy tool.
Mhm,
But at the end of the day, I think traditional dating is
mm,
really the best option because you can hear the person's voice and
mm,
see their gestures and it's just easier to make like a genuine connection. So that like yeah, a handy tool, but if you can date the traditional way, like meet someone at a class or doing any hobby that you like to do, like you said, in business, that's even better. But
yeah. Or like
there
church, maybe. I'm thinking that
exactly, yeah. Tell
spirituality is such
yeah,
high on my
yeah.
one of my core values. Then maybe church would be the great setting to meet someone. So.
Especially for you, like yeah, like for anyone, because I know you're very passionate about your faith.
Mhm.
So yeah, I want to learn more about that too. So tell me, like, despite like all the hard things happening in life, I guess um how do you keep your faith strong?
Well, the interesting thing about it is that I feel as though the struggles actually strengthen my faith, right? Because it's like the struggles that come up, like whether it's the social anxiety or just like the fear and just like the uncertainty about
Yeah,
life and just the different, challenges of life, the frustrations of life, I feel as though those experiences give us the opportunities to really build faith, right? Because if we didn't
exactly.
have any
Yeah.
challenges, then we wouldn't even need faith. You know what I'm saying? If
Right.
everything
Yeah.
made sense, we wouldn't need to even practice faith. So I feel as
Mhm.
though when those challenges come up, they are kind of faith building experiences, right? So
Yeah.
I think but at the same time, it has to be perceived in the right way, right? Because if we don't perceive our challenges correctly, they can actually, break us instead of strengthening us, so
Right.
I think that I try to, so by God's grace, I try to always view my problems as blessings in disguise,
I
I
love
try to
that.
view,
Yeah.
in other words, I try to view them as, personal development exercises that are designed to strengthen us.
Mhm. I love that. I love that. Um, and what would you say, Lance, what gets you most excited about life?
Wow. Okay. So I don't have any kids of my own. And I think that that is why I'm so passionate about pouring into the lives of young people. You
Love that.
know,
Yeah.
the most, definitely the most fulfilling aspect of my life is the feeling that I have made a positive difference in someone else's life. The
Love
feeling of
that.
knowing that someone's life is breathing easier because of the impact of my life. I have like a laser like focus, so my intention is to pour so much insight and inspiration into young people that when they reach my age, they will hopefully be in a position of great success and fulfillment, and hopefully
Yeah.
they will look back over their lives and realize that God used my life as a vehicle of great blessings in their life. So that's my legacy, and I want to leave that type of legacy, and I dream that when God calls me back home, the inspiration of my legacy will overshadow any sadness regarding my departure.
I love that. That such powerful words, Lance.
Mm,
And I think that's why you're so successful in business too. Like anyone who wants to be successful in business, you can't just think about, all right, what's the quickest way to make money? You need to think about how can I enrich other people's lives? How can I add value?
mhm,
And that's when you start, you can start profiting and growing when you think of how to really make a difference in people's lives too.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Um, perfect. So, going off that, like I just said, you're a successful businessman. You have so many businesses going on. Do you ever get burnt out or overwhelmed?
One of the things that has greatly helped me avoid getting overwhelmed is maintaining a healthy morning routine, because
Mhm.
your morning routine sets the tone for your whole day, right?
Yeah,
It's super super important to have a good morning routine. I highly
100%.
recommend,
Yeah,
so I highly recommend going to sleep early so that you can get up early in the morning. Like, I try to get up, at 3 a.m. even, Um, but I encourage people to get up at least by like 4 or 5 a.m. at the latest. But because
yeah.
I feel like at that time, I feel like early in the morning, there's no distractions,
Right. It's
um,
nice and peaceful. Yeah.
and you can focus on self-care,
Mhm.
exercising, reading, praying, reflecting, journaling, goal setting, listening to music, dancing. In other words, by waking up early, you can focus on filling your cup with no distractions for the first 2 to 3 hours of the day, so that when the rest of the world wakes up, you'll be ready to maneuver and manage all the demands and responsibilities.
Love that. Yeah, that's so true. Early bird gets the worm.
That's right.
And then, yeah, that's really great advice. Um, so what would you say to people who have, they have side hustles, hobbies, passions, obviously, but they're not sure how to turn it into a full-fledged business. They're not sure how to grow it. Like, how do you suggest they scale and, build their own empire? Like, what do you suggest to people who are just getting started?
Mm. Well, number one is research, right? You
Yeah.
want to research the market. You want to understand your industry. Pricing is a huge situation, right? Because you want to make sure you are pricing your service or products correctly. So number
Yeah.
one is research, and then number two is having the right vision for what you're
Yeah.
offering, right?
The
Because
goal needs to be clear. Yeah.
yeah, you gotta have clarity. Gotta have clarity with
Yeah,
what you're
exactly.
offering, and really, you want to make sure that what you're offering is something of value, right? Because really,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you are paid for the value that you're bringing to the lives of others.
Mhm. I love that. And can you talk, because you mentioned earlier, can you talk a little bit more passive income? Because I feel like that's such a hot topic nowadays. Like people get stressed out and burnt out from working so many hours, and you look up ways to make passive income, and then you try it and it's like, oh my gosh, wait, is this really passive income if I'm putting in so much work? Like, can you talk about, like, do you think it's real, or do you think you're always going to have to work really hard up front to
Yeah,
see that long-term gain? Yeah.
right. So no, absolutely, passive
Yeah.
income. I'm very passionate about helping people build passive income.
Yeah.
So, well, an example of passive income would be digital books, right? So
That's a good one.
I
Yeah.
have two digital books, and I sell them through an online service called SendOut. And this is
Yeah.
an example of passive income because it doesn't require constant work to keep funds flowing in, right? Now, of
Ah,
course, I have to put in a lot of significant work up front
upfront. Yeah.
write the book, right? But after I write the book and I load it onto the SendOwl platform and I send out the link, for people to purchase the book, then really the only additional effort that's required to keep the income flowing in is my marketing effort,
Yeah.
other than that. And so that can really be considered passive income because I'm not significantly putting forth more effort in order to keep the funds flowing in.
Love that.
you know and
Perfect.
also, by the way,
Yeah.
when your passive income exceeds your cost of living, you have achieved financial freedom because at that point
Right.
you are not dependent on your physical labor. And going back to one of my other points was, in my experience, there's three main tools of passive income. Number one, business ownership. Number two, stock market investing. And number three, real estate investing.
Love that. Yeah, those are all really great ideas that everyone should look into. So um it's called Send All, you said, is the service?
Sin
I have to
Owl.
check that out. Yeah.
Sin Owl. So
Yeah.
SEND and then OWL.
Awesome.
And
Love
Chanel,
that.
by the way, I mean, like with the consulting business that you have, I would highly recommend that you create a digital book and put it on Sin Owl,
I'm
And
gonna look into that. That's a great idea. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
Yeah, I love, like, learning about, the different ways people make a living, or it's just so cool, the world of digital entrepreneurship. It's always fascinated me. Um, so I'm curious, what would you say, like, say if you're working really hard, and this has happened to me before, like, I had a YouTube, and I was just doing it for fun as a hobby, but I wanted to turn it into a business, but at the moment, it's just a hobby. Like, have you ever had something that you really, really wanted to work out, like, or a plan you had that fell through, and if so, like, how did you cope with it not working out? Like, how do you handle failure?
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Well, I yeah, so I mean, just like everyone else, right? I have
Yeah.
a lot of I make mistakes,
Mhm.
and if I reflect on the past, there's a lot of things that I regret, right? Just like everyone else. And I believe that but I think that the key is to be able to manage, life regrets, right? So one of the things I try to do is I try to remind myself that God has forgiven me. And I try to remind myself that good judgment comes from experience, and experience often comes from bad judgments. So as long as I'm always learning from my mistakes, then even my mistakes are being churned into my process of future
Right.
success.
Right. I love that. And I think that adding on to that, I think it's so important to try different things too. Cause you could try YouTube or you could try like e-commerce and maybe it could take five different businesses before one takes off. Like for me, Fiverr was the the thing that happened to take off after trying several different things. So I would say also like don't give up and you just, you're a serial entrepreneur. So you just got to keep trying different things and follow your passions and adding value and eventually the right opportunity will
Mhm.
show up. Um, so I would say another question, what do you do like when you suffer from like imposter syndrome, not feeling good enough?
Absolutely. I often feel inadequate,
Yeah.
but these two stories, these two illustrations really help me to turn those negative feelings into positive fuel. Okay. So quick story number one is this. There's a story of a water carrier who had two large pots
Mhm.
hung on the ends of a pole which he carried across his neck. One of the pots had a crack in it while the other pot was perfect. Each day, at the end of the long walk from the water stream back to the house, the perfect pot always delivered a full portion of water, but the broken pot always delivered only half a pot of water because the other half of its water would always leak out all throughout the path. Now, this continued on for years. And of course, the perfect pot felt proud of itself. It felt like a high achiever, it felt successful, had very
Yeah.
high self esteem. But the broken pot felt ashamed of itself and felt miserable. And one day by the water stream, the broken pot spoke out to the water carrier and said, I'm ashamed of myself because this crack in my side causes water to leak out all the way back to your house. I'm inadequate, I'm broken, I'm sick, and I'll never be made well. So you should just destroy me. And then the water carrier responded to the broken pot and said, did you notice that there were flowers only along your side of the path and not along the other pot side? That is because I've always known about your flaw and I planted
Ah.
flower seeds all along your side of the path. And each day as we walk back from the water stream, the water that leaks out through the crack in your side waters these flowers. And for years now, I've been able to pick these beautiful flowers to make the world a more beautiful place. If it was not for your flaw, your quote unquote flaw, there would not be this beauty to grace the world. So illustrations like that, where it's
Mhm.
like it helps me to change my perspective to realize
Yeah.
that my glitch can actually be my gift,
Mhm.
God's grace. My glitch can be my gift. That really helps me to cope with the feelings of feeling not good enough and all that. And one more story is this: is that there's a story about store owner put a large sign on top of the front door of his store, read "Puppies for sale," and almost immediately a little boy comes into the store full of enthusiasm and asks, "How much are the puppies?" And the store owner replied, "Anywhere between $30 to $50 per puppy."
Mhm.
He digs deep into his pocket, pulls out $1.37, and he says, "All I have is $1.37, but can I see the puppies?" Store owner smiled and then whistled, and out from the kennel comes a group of puppies running down the aisle of the store. But there was one puppy that was lagging behind all the others because it was
Oh.
limping. It was
Oh.
limping along. The little boy noticed that puppy that was limping and asked, "What's wrong with that puppy?" Store owner then explained how the veterinarian had examined that puppy and had discovered that that puppy was missing a hip socket. So it would always be lame, it would always limp. The little boy gets excited and says, "That's the puppy that I want to buy." Store owner says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, no, you really don't want this puppy because you know this puppy limps. This puppy has issues. In fact, I plan to just give away this puppy for free." Little boy gets upset and says, you know, "This puppy is just as valuable as all the other puppies. I'll pay
Yeah.
full price for this puppy." You know, the store owner again, says, "Look, I really don't think you're going to enjoy that puppy because that puppy can't run and it can't jump and it can't play with you like the other puppies can." Then at that moment, the little boy bends down and picks up his left pant leg and he shows the store owner his left leg. The little boy's left leg was crippled. It was twisted.
Oh.
It was held together by a metal rod. The little boy says to the store owner, "I can't run well myself either. And that puppy needs someone who can understand. I love that story so much because it's a reminder to me that imperfect is perfect. Our
Yeah.
imperfections make us humble. Our imperfections can make us relatable. Our imperfections
Yeah.
can make us compassionate, you know.
Yeah.
Our glitch can become our gift because it can help us to be more compassionate towards other people who have similar situations. And so that whole concept of, my glitch is my gift, and that, imperfect is perfect, those types of perspectives are like my mantras in a way. It's like my prayer, and I pray that God helps me to continue to stay in that right frame of mind, that very positive frame of mind.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. I think like when you look at it that way, it totally that totally blows my mind. That's such a good story. Like just like to reframe your mindset, like it really makes you think differently. I love that. Awesome, awesome. Um Fantastic. Um that was very, very inspiring. Um so I guess do you have any like cuz I really like that. Like I want to dig deeper like sometimes even some you can be proud of what makes you different, but at the same time, like I think it's so like naturally as humans, we compare ourselves to others. What advice would you say, or I
Mhm.
guess how do you have any strategies that you use to stop comparing yourself to other people and stop feeling jealous?
Well,
Any other
several
strategies?
years
Yeah.
ago, I met a girl named Tabby at a Bible
Yeah.
study, and during one of the group conversations, Tabby gave me some words of wisdom that really changed my life forever. I'll
Love it.
never
Yeah.
forget how she told me, "Other people's tools won't fit in your toolbox."
Ah, yeah.
Her message helped me to realize the importance of being myself. And I started to experience the peace that comes from being comfortable with who I am. I learned that
Mhm.
we each are given the exact characteristics, the exact mix of specific strengths and weaknesses. We each are given the exact characteristics that we need in order to complete our own purpose. I learned that we each are given, a unique set of tools because we each have a unique mission. So
Mhm.
there's no need to be jealous of anyone because really they have been given the exact tools that they need to complete their purpose, and you have been given the exact tools that you need to complete your purpose. Now, of course, it's good to be inspired by other people's success, and it's good
Yeah.
to learn from other people's success, but never compare your success with other people's success because really the scorecard is different, right?
Exactly.
We're here to, complete your mission, not their mission, right? So we
Perfect.
gotta
Yeah.
stay focused, stay in our lane, and always be our number one fan, right? We want to pay
Yeah.
attention to our weaknesses so that we can, mitigate them, right? But we want to focus more on, maximizing our strengths, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all on our own journeys. No one else's journey is gonna look the exact same as ours, so there's no
Mhm.
need to compare. I love that.
Mhm.
Um, and, so, building on that, I think it's really important too to recognize that everyone has their own, preferences and what they want, like, in a partner. So, like, say if someone's not attracted to you, it doesn't mean you're better or worse than anyone. It's just their own preference. It's like chicken and steak. No
Mhm.
one's better or worse. We're all just different. So I want to know your opinion or like, you said you might want to get married someday. What do you look for in a partner? Like going back to discussing your dating life a little bit. Yeah.
So my ideal partner, I believe, would be a Christian woman,
Yeah.
very passionate about her faith, and who is entrepreneurial, and very
Hmm.
business savvy, but also who's very compassionate and who is a big giver, right? I
Yeah.
mentioned that she tides, she gives.
Yeah.
I envision that she's a purpose-driven person, right? Not
Yeah.
profit-driven. I envision that she's very passionate about her entrepreneurial enterprises, and she views her career as her mission and her calling and her God-given purpose, not as her job, right? Um,
Hmm.
She's a bigger picture, you know?
Yeah.
Also, she's very passionate about health and wellness in all areas of her life, spiritual, physical, mental, and financial. Also, she's a woman who I find as being very attractive, both in
Mhm.
character, things like honesty, empathy, compassion, ethics, faithfulness, integrity, kindness, humility, and also in her physical appearance. I envision her being very physically attractive. But to be honest with you, I am concerned that maybe I'm putting too much emphasis on the physical appearance, right? But really, I desire. I mean, of course, it's natural, right? That
It's a
people.
normal and healthy part, physical attraction is a normal and healthy part of a relationship.
Right,
So, yeah, you want what you want. The heart wants what it wants. Um,
right, right.
um,
I don't know. It can be kind of frustrating though, right? Because it's kind of like, it's kind of like, well, what happens though if well, like, I don't know. I sometimes I can feel like I'm being shallow if I'm not considering women
yeah.
who have these other characteristics like the inner beauty, but don't have like the outer attractive characteristics that I'm looking for.
I think that's like a universal human struggle because we're all gonna get old and wrinkly, right? But I really liked your advice. Like I noticed you said the best love advice you've ever received is marry your best friend. Because at the end of the day, like, you're left with the person that's inside. You could have the most beautiful person, but if they treat you badly, you're not gonna enjoy staying them. It's like being with a pair of beautiful shoes that are constantly hurting you.
Uh,
Um,
wow.
so yeah, I really like your advice about finding someone who
Mm,
would be like your friend, marry your best friend.
mm, mhm,
Yeah, very, very good.
mhm,
Yeah, because I think like friendship is totally one of the keys, like you said, to a successful marriage relationship, and that's like what I talk a lot about with my clients and
mhm.
my dating coaching business. So, um, excellent, excellent. Do you have any other strategies? So we talked about not comparing yourself to others, not being jealous. What about coping with rejection?
Whenever I'm feeling insecure or incompetent or weird or disrespected or confused or frustrated or disappointed or discouraged or any type of negative emotion,
Yeah,
whenever I'm feeling any type of negative emotion, I try to remind myself that my glitch is my gift.
yeah,
Whatever that glitch is in my life, whether it's a regret that I have, or a mistake that I've made, or a failed experience that I went through, or any type of flaw that I feel is hindering me, I try to remind myself that my glitch is my gift. That glitch, that flaw, that brokenness, that negative circumstance is my gift because by God's grace, I can use that glitch as fuel
hmm,
to overcompensate by maximizing my strengths, fuel to become more compassionate towards others who are struggling with similar issues, fuel to be more grateful that God is giving me the ability to succeed in spite of my weakness,
right, yeah,
to be more humble as I
hmm,
succeed because I know how failure feels and I know
right.
that it is not by my strength but rather it's by God's grace that's empowering me to soar above all storms, right? And so, you know also, I think about how by God's grace I've been able to transform my social anxiety into fueling my passion to do motivational presentations in which I teach people how to cope with negative emotions and how to transform negative thoughts into positive fuel to live a healthy and happy life. The major themes of my motivational presentations are: number one, imperfect is perfect; number two, problems are blessings in disguise; number three, your glitch is your gift; and number four, turn your problems into power by controlling the perspectives in which you view the situations of your life.
Love that. Yeah, that's really, really powerful advice. And like I'm just so impressed that you're able to construct all these beautiful full stories and just empower so many other people despite having social anxiety. Like that inspires me, like because I used to have social anxiety. And like you said, in business, just being able to talk, being able to communicate, being comfortable in front of a crowd is so key. So I'm so grateful like that you do. There's people like you who do that kind of work because you know you're helping so many people. So
Mm.
that's really wonderful. Excellent, excellent job. Um, what um what are the kind of things that you pray about?
I pray about safety, peace, discernment,
Yeah,
protection, continued health and wellness for me and others. Pretty much, my mindset and attitude towards prayer is that it should be a continual conversation with God about everything, right? It's kind of like making the conversation with God part of your just normal thought process, really, right? So
yeah,
not like, it's not like it's not like I guess what I'm saying is that for me, prayer is not like something that I just, do that's like separate from my other activities. I feel like prayer, like that attitude, basically the attitude of prayer should be incorporated into our day-to-day living.
absolutely. I totally agree. Yeah, and I just asked that because it definitely seems like your faith has helped you with so many of the things that you're able to achieve. So it's definitely important, you know, if people want to connect more with God and explore their relationship, they should go for it. Like you said, um, devoting even a little bit of time every day can really make a huge difference and help you get closer to Him and explore your spirituality and faith. Because it yeah, it just seems like such an important part of your journey that's really helped you. So it's just interesting that's been you know, a big part of something that's helped you, you know, for other people out there
Yeah,
who
and
want to
then
follow in your
I'd add like
footsteps.
some
Yeah.
tools
Yeah.
would be like a good daily devotional really help.
Yeah.
Like if you can kind of read some Bible verses and read like a little message,
That's a
like
good
a daily
yeah.
devotional. Also listening to sermons on YouTube,
Yeah.
and of course going to church. It's like the sermons on YouTube are great, but actually being in church, being in that atmosphere, it's even better because there's something about being there in person when you're like with
Yeah.
people who have your same mindset and everything. So I feel like there's a lot of tools that help us to get closer to God, but we shouldn't put too much faith in the actual tools, right? Because these tools are man-made, right? Like
Right.
this is man-made,
Has
but
to come
the
from within.
tools,
Yeah.
church can be very helpful. And unfortunately, because church is man-made, you do see situations where there's flaws in church, and there's different quote unquote Christians that have misrepresented the Christian faith and everything. I think that can turn a lot of people off towards
Yeah.
spirituality. But I think the thing to keep in mind is that you know real Christianity is really your relationship, your personal relationship with God, and like the church and gathering with other people. I feel like that's just tools that help us in our personal relationship with God. But it's really the personal relationship that is the most important thing.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's really, really fantastic to keep in mind. Yeah, because I just feel like we've gotten so much awesome information. Like, we got advice about passive wealth, we got advice about business today from you, got advice about dating, got good advice about faith and connecting to God. Okay, so Lance, getting deeper into your faith and everything, how do you personally view death?
Mm. Well,
Yeah.
almost every day I rehearse in my mind how I plan to respond to hearing the news of the passing of a loved one. And
Hmm.
I realize that it's very important to prepare in advance for the departure of loved ones, especially if the loved one is someone who has been, a huge positive influence in your life. Because
Uh,
often the closer the loved one is to the person, the more significant the impact of their death, right?
right, of
So
course, yeah.
yeah, so similar to a fire drill in which we prepare an emergency plan for our physical safety, I feel like it's very important to prepare an emergency plan for our emotional safety regarding the death of a loved one. So when a
Hmm.
loved one dies, how do you want to feel? How do you want to mentally process their departure? For me, I want to mentally process their departure in a way that is energizing and
Yeah.
uplifting and exhilarating and invigorating. I want my gratitude for their legacy to override my sadness regarding their departure. I want to remember that life is like a train ride. We board the train when we are born and we exit the train when we die. And during our train ride, we come into contact with many different people. Each person on the train is there for a reason. Each person has a role to play. And when their role is complete, I feel as though God sends a Uber driver called Death to come escort them off the train and bring them back home. So when a loved one dies, I want to view their death with the perspective that God's purpose for their life was completed, and therefore He sent an Uber driver to pick them up and bring them back home. And I want to remind myself that I'm next. You know what I'm saying? My time is coming, and God, I feel like God has already ordered an Uber driver to pick me up, and I don't know. Of course, I don't know. What the estimated time of arrival is. It could be 60 years
Right.
from now, or it could be
Yeah.
within a few
For
days.
any of us. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't know about tomorrow.
Yeah.
But so we never know how much time we have remaining. So let's make every moment meaningful. So here's the key question. The key question is, what will you do with the time you have remaining? Let's maximize every moment.
Yeah.
Time is very precious. Let's be a good steward over the time that we have. Let's stop comparing ourselves with other people. Let's focus on using the unique set of gifts that God has given us, to complete the
Beautiful.
unique purpose that God has put each of us here to complete. Let's fully embrace every card that we've been dealt, and let's keep in mind that it's not about the cards we have been dealt. It's about how we play the hand.
I love that. That's so true. Oh my gosh. Very inspiring. Really good food for thought there. I like that. So you believe that everything happens for a reason, and that's really reassuring when you think about it because, we have there's a greater plan for us, and we can control our own actions. But like you said, we don't ultimately know when when our time is coming, so it's just important to make the most of it and do the best we can with like you said, it's how we play the hand. It's
Right.
not what we were dealt. Yeah. So I really like that. Um very, very inspiring perspective. I love it. Um so let me see. Um, so yeah, that was a great answer. Thank you so much for that. Like I like these how deep we're getting here today. Um, um, do you have any like do you what would you say your biggest fears are? Like just in life?
I'd say that some of my biggest fears would be that I would lose my faith.
Yeah,
Is really my
it's
faith is the
understandable.
foundation of my life, right? So
Mhm.
my fear of losing my faith, actually, it inspires me to stay humble and grateful for the strength and peace that God gives me, because I know that if God ever took his grace away from my life, I would be hopeless. And so I feel very encouraged knowing that God gives grace to the humble, and I know that I need God's grace to cover me at every moment.
I love that. Wow. Yeah. Um, 'cause I just yeah, I'm so glad we did this interview because I feel like for anyone that's struggling like in any aspect, like career, in their dating life, in any way, like all the advice you said today was really, really helpful. And like terms of just keeping a positive mindset, and handling all the challenges that can come up in life.
I'd love to connect. If anybody wants to connect with
Absolutely.
me, I'm on Facebook. You can search Lance Claysmile Smith. You can find me on Facebook. Also have a YouTube channel. You search Claysmile on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube. And my website is claysmile.com.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just about to add that that's how Lance and I met. He found me on Fiverr. I'm a professional copywriter and dating consultant. So my username's Donnie Darko Love. I didn't actually know we couldn't change it, but my name's Chanel. My real name's Chanel. And so what I do in that business is I help businesses write like sales pages, Instagram posts, emails, press releases, whatever they need. just to take some of the work off their back and make it easier and, present their information in a, present their message in a compelling way. Um, that will, persuade people to wanna interact with their brand and buy from them. And then the other business, so it's like 2 businesses. I'm a copywriter and I'm a dating consultant. So in the dating consulting business, what I do is I help guys all over the world, write captivating dating profiles, choose the best photos, edit their photos. I do private consultations. I even do face ratings, all with the goal of helping men present a better version of themselves, like feel confident and get more Tinder matches and dates lined up. I just love being able to give advice from a female perspective, and it's really cool, like you said, to start seeing people feel good in their own skin. I
Uh,
love helping people feel good in their own skin. But I think it's also really important, like you said, Lance, you want to be able to fill your own cup first
yes.
and just have a good relationship with yourself first before you go on any type of dating journey. Because you're with yourself your whole life. Like you said, people can come and go on that journey, but ultimately, like, you wanna be in a good position yourself, physically and mentally, before, you're ready to bring someone else on the journey.
One of the things that I feel, because I feel like there's something that's been hindering me in terms of like, dating. And I think
Yeah.
that one of the frustrations is, okay, so, we want to change ourselves to become the best versions of ourselves.
Yeah,
But I feel like there's a thin line between changing ourselves to become the best versions of ourselves and changing ourselves to become something that we're not, you know?
exactly.
Like that's a hard thing.
No, that's a really good point. Yeah, I don't encourage, like, if there's a part of you that you really like,
Mm,
own it, be unapologetic,
mm,
and don't change it for anyone. But at the same time, I also think, you what I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to change you into a different person. Even like if you send me your photo, I'm not gonna dye your hair or put a filter on you so you don't look like yourself. It's about, like you said, not changing yourself into a completely different person, but just becoming a better version of yourself. And if you have things that would help your confidence to change, like for example, if you're messy, or maybe if you're not as productive as you want to be because you're lazy, those are things you can work on. But the fundamental parts of yourself that you like, I think, like you said, you should just keep those as they are and own it and be unapologetic. And if not everyone likes those parts of you, that's okay. You keep trying, you keep putting yourself out there, and there's going to be someone that absolutely love, those little things that make you different and those little things that make you unique.